everyone, this is Chris and Sandy Bit with the Chris and Sandy Show, where we get up close and personal with some amazing guests throughout the entertainment industry. And today, like I say on every episode, we got a great show for you. We've got
Colton Dixon. He quickly became a household name in 2012 when he was voted a fan favorite and made it to the top 7 on American Idol. His career has been on the fast track ever since, now boasting over 100 million streams across all platforms.
And we're really excited.
We
as
are.
You see, he's right there to have
What's going
him
on
our show today. So welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. You guys doing all right?
We're doing good.
Doing great.
Good deal.
I always like to start the show out the same. As you know, in the entertainment world, it's rough right now because of COVID. So how has COVID affected you, and what have you done to kind of maneuver through this crazy new maze?
Yeah, it kind of feels like reinventing the wheel a little bit. We had a good thing going, and now we're just having to figure some things out. But honestly, it's personally, it's been kind of a blessing in disguise. My wife and I had twins last year in August.
Oh wow!
So, I would have been on the road quite a bit last year. We just dropped a new project, a new EP last April. So it would have been, touring season. I would have been out on the road. So kind of a blessing in disguise to be home all of last year and getting to spend that time with my wife during pregnancy and then welcoming those girls to the world. So yeah, it's been actually been amazing. So
love that. That's like with us. We launched this show January of 2020, a couple months before the pandemic.
Right.
And I remember our original plan was 100 interviews. We thought if we could do that, we would.
Wow, that would be a lot of interviews. I don't know if we could pull that.
And we were like nervous if we could even do that. But we shot out. We went for it, and then COVID happens.
Yes.
And I told Sandy, I was like, you know what? There may be a silver lining in for us, because I started watching all of my music friends get shut down.
Yep.
I was like, they're going to need a place to talk.
Yep.
Right.
We're going to give it to them because now they all of a sudden have time to actually talk. So we're going to give them that. And because of that, we did over 300 interviews last year.
That's incredible. Yeah. All we had was time.
Yeah.
It's definitely been crazy.
It has.
So as you know, a lot of people would ask, when did you know you wanted to do music? But I always like to go deeper than that. When did it click that this could actually be a career for you?
Yeah. So I started taking piano when I was 8 years old.
Oh wow.
And always loved music. Just kind of gravitated towards it, but wasn't necessarily like musically like extremely gifted in music or anything. I just enjoyed it and started taking piano. And at 13, that was kind of the moment for me. I know that's really young, but I was at a piano recital and my teacher pulled me aside about an hour before the recital and said, "Hey, I think you're supposed to sing this song as well."
Oh wow.
And I'm like, I don't think that's a good idea for anyone in the room. I'd never sang in public before. I was so scared. But I played and sang "I Can Only Imagine" by Mercy Me.
Oh, wow.
Which for a 13-year-old boy, that's a very rangy song.
But God's always been there with you on that.
Yes.
So I got up and I sang, and I think that was the first encounter I had with Holy Spirit, because it was just so real to me that this was what I was called to do. This is what I was made to do. And I didn't know what that was going to look like, but God opens doors that no man can shut. And it's just been so cool throughout this whole process, this whole journey, just to see the favor of God on the gifts. And I can't take credit for any of it. I really can't, because there's no reason he would choose me over the next person. But I think it's so cool that he does choose me for things. So I'm just trying to walk through those doors as best I can. But that was
we get what you're coming from. Of course, it took me a little longer to figure that all out, because I'm 49 now. Okay. But I remember the very first show we did, January of 2020. I remember it went so well. We got off. I told Sandy, "This is it. This is what we're supposed to do." I just knew that this is what we're supposed to do. Awesome. And and we had a lot of connections within the country music world because it was started out as just a country music show. Now it's an entertainment overall show.
Yes,
Sure.
it's
And it was
evolved.
it just went from, I mean, there are people reaching out to us talking about, how are you because we've had Randy Travis, Sarah Evans, Ed
That's
Asner, the actor. You know, we got next week a girl an actress that played big role on The Young and the Restless coming on.
oh no.
And so it's been like all these names are coming on our
Yes,
show. And people reach out to
been
me and say,
crazy.
how in the world, being such a new show, or is all this happening? I was like, the only answer I can give them is, it's all God. It's
Yeah.
all
Yes, it's
God. I mean,
God.
there's no
It's
way,
not us.
there's no
Mhm.
other way to explain what's happening.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that so much. Yeah. God's always working behind the scenes. So it's cool
But
whenever you get to see it firsthand.
yeah,
Mhm.
but just because God works doesn't mean it's not going to be hard. And that's where I want to go now.
True.
As you know, a lot of
Mhm.
people, they see the glory of like a Blake Shelton, of a Carrie Underwood, and Randy Travis and all of them, but they don't see
Yes.
the grind, the sacrifice, the tears, the struggles that it takes, not just to get to their level, but even a career level within the music world. And I always want to talk about that because everybody seems to sugarcoat this. Not
Sure.
on our show. We want to talk about this on every episode. And I'm going to tell a quick story. I hope guide us where I want this to go. But back in 2014, we interviewed Allison Steele from Two Steel Girls. And at that time, her and her daughter were full time with music. And I'll never forget me asking Allison what advice she'd given up and becoming an artist. She said, this will sound funny coming from someone full time, but if you can see yourself doing something else, go do that and just keep this as a hobby. She goes, because the moment you want it to be a career, your life changes. She goes, everybody kind of owns a piece of you, whether you like it or not. Your friends and relatives never understand. They invite you to weddings, to cookouts, to weekends, to holidays. But when you're in that grind mode, that beginning stages of that new career, you have to say no to almost everything, and a lot of times they don't understand that because they have this 9 to 5 where they get off at 5. You
Yeah.
never get off. There is no such thing as getting off as an artist. Then your family has to sacrifice. They have to share you with the world.
Yeah.
You're gone a lot. But then she added, but if you cannot see yourself doing anything else, then go all in. That's the
Yep.
only way that those kind of sacrifices could ever be worth it. What do you think of what she said? Let's talk about that side.
Yeah. I think I think that's coming from a lot of wisdom, her response. Um, with anything, when you say no to one thing, you're saying yes to another, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
So now,
Mhm.
even with a family of my own, I realized that um, by saying yes to a show or yes to an interview, whatever, is when you boil it down, is ultimately saying no to time with my family,
Mm-hmm.
and then vice
Mhm.
versa. Whenever I am saying yes to my family,
See, we
I'm
built it in.
no,
Ah,
yeah,
yes,
yeah, that's
we
nice.
did.
But yeah, it can be a tricky thing, and man, for me, family is always going to come before career. So yeah, it's a hard thing. I don't think everyone sees it that way. Hollywood definitely paints it out that career is everything. And
Mm-hmm.
what's so funny
Mhm.
though is my wife and I were talking about this the other day. It's like you go to someone's funeral and they're not necessarily talking about accolades and what you've done. They're talking about what kind of person and what kind of human being you were, and
Absolutely.
and that boils down to relationships. So to me, that tells me that man, family and relationships should be prioritized above career. So I'm learning
Mhm.
to do that. I'm still a very young dad of a young family, and we're figuring it out. And we also came from my wife would be on the road with me all the time,
Oh
so
wow.
we that was very intentional,
Mhm.
and my wife sacrificed a lot to be on the road with me. But
Okay.
our marriage is better for it.
Mm-hmm.
So now with
Mhm.
Most
kids,
definitely.
obviously that game plan has changed a little bit, but
Yeah.
yeah, it can be a hard thing. Speaking into the artist thing, she's absolutely right. You can't half but do this. You have to be
Mhm.
all in, giving everything that you got around the clock. Um, it's so funny. I just did a few shows on a tour, and I was programming some of the lighting and doing the video content. And just because it's like, well, if I don't do it, I don't know who else is going to do it. So you're the one that picks up the slack, or overall your brand or your show will suffer because of it. So yeah, it's a nonstop around the clock thing. But whenever there's purpose in it, especially when there's purpose other than just fame or fortune, because that stuff is so overrated. When we feel called to this, it just yeah, you end a show and it's like it was worth it. It was absolutely worth it. So that was a long answer, but yeah,
that's just like we actually did an interview right before this one, so it's like we ended that one and then went right in with you. So it's like you have to keep your mind like, okay, I got to get this name right.
Yes.
But it bleeds right into the next one, and sometimes it can be a lot because a lot of people, they see us on these 30-minute or hour interviews that we do, and they see the fun that we have, and we have a lot of fun. We enjoy. I mean, it's a passion of ours. We love talking to artists and actors and all that. But at the same time, it's a lot of work. Trying to communicate with the people, trying to get it set, trying to do this, trying to make sure this is right, this is right. Now, I don't try to have a perfect show because I don't want a perfect show. No. I want a raw show because I want people to see the realness within the guests. So I don't try to have a perfect show, but at the same time, there's still a lot of things we have to do to pull all this together. It's not just all fun and games.
Yeah, there's a lot of behind the scenes that you don't see. I totally get it. Absolutely.
Now that we talked a little bit about that side of it, let's go the other way. You've had some big highlights. Tell us a little bit about some highlights.
Oh man. Yeah, kind of like I mentioned earlier, God is good, and I grew up listening to Christian music, which has been kind of my home since American Idol, and there have been opportunities outside of that world too, but it's been so cool growing up listening to that genre, listening to people like Stephen Curtis Chapman or Toby Mac or Switchfoot, or to name a few people, and then you find yourself at a festival or on a tour, and you look in the wing and you see those people watching your set, and it's like.
Oh, your sound went off.
Sound went out.
Got me.
Okay.
Okay, so sorry. You look at the side and you see those people watching your set, and it's just like, man, what is life right now? What is this? It's just so cool, and they've all been so sweet and have given me advice along the way. So that's a big highlight for me, is getting to share the stage with some of my favorite artists. But honestly, like the biggest highlight to me, which I talked a little bit about earlier, is ending a show and having someone come up to you that you've never met, who listens to your music, saying, hey, this song that you sang completely saved my life. I was on the verge of suicide, or I lost my mom, or whatever the story is. And they go, man, God used your song. And I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here today, or I wouldn't be the same person without that. And it's crazy to think that music can do that.
It can.
It
absolutely can. And what's so beautiful about music is music is the only universal language that we have. I don't have to sing a word, and I can communicate emotion. And it's just powerful. So I'm so thankful that I get to use that as a tool just to love on people and to say, hey, there's hope. We're gonna
got a question from somebody. He's like, was you on the David Cook season?
I was not. I love both of those guys. I'm closer with Archie.
Yes.
I was on season 11, and they were season 7 or 8. So I was a few years after.
Oh wow, yeah.
So you got to look up to them as pre-Idol.
Yeah, and that's what's so fun too. We grew up as a family watching Idol. So yeah, a lot of fun. But yeah, anyway, so just a couple highlights, but having fans tell you their stories and how you're somehow intertwined into that, it's just beautiful.
Yeah, that's like, even for this show, bringing people on like you and other people, we feel intertwined with the people, because we bring them stories out. Because when we first launched this show, that was the plan, was to tell people stories. Because you have a lot of shows out there, but when it comes to music, in most cases, it's about the music.
Yeah,
I didn't want it to be about the music. I wanted it to be about the person and the story.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, music is just an extension of who we are.
Yes.
So for some people more than others.
Yep.
Love to just
Right.
write fun songs, which is great. I like to dig a little deeper than that. I like to be involved in the writing process and all that fun stuff. Um, but yeah, it's so funny because I'm just like you guys. I'm just like the next person. There's not necessarily anything that sets me apart. The only thing that is, I guess, a little different is God put this call in my life, and here I am talking to you guys, and you know, getting to play shows for people, and it's really wild, man. I'm thankful that I get to do what I do.
And it's crazy because, you know, again, you go through all these years and, you know, you see God work, but you don't really see him work until things start to come together. You're like, ooh, okay. You start connecting the dots. And you're like, oh,
Yeah.
he was there the whole time. He,
Yeah.
you know, like with this show, you know, with done so many interviews, talked to so many people through the years in our marriage. And sometimes she'd get upset because if I run into somebody, even a stranger,
Oh, yeah.
I would be 30, 60 minutes conversation with people on the street. And we're talking on the street. And she would get so mad sometimes. And I've done that thousands of times in our 18 years of marriage.
A lot of times.
And now we laugh because we sit here and we're like, oh, that was God preparing us to hold 30 and 60-minute conversations on our show, because now, like clockwork, it's not a hard, I can go 2 hours with people if I want to. No big deal, because I've done it thousands of times.
Right.
That's a gift, brother.
Yeah, but it's been crazy. Now, as you know, a lot of people, they see the artists, but they don't see the team behind the artist. And I don't think they get enough love.
No.
So on our show, they get love. So if you want to take a few moments just to tell us about the team that helps you be who you are.
Yeah. Man, my parents are great people. They raised me right, did a great job. But behind every good man is a good wife. So I would not be the man or the person I am today without my wife. She's amazing. Yeah. That is, it all boils down to that. But, you know, it's funny. My team, so to speak, has changed over the years. I started with 19 Entertainment, which is American Idol based. It was their management and group, and they handled a lot of things. And then that shifted into my current management, which I love those guys dearly. It's a pretty small roster, but they'll just get out there and fight and work harder than anybody I know. It's so important to have management who understands your vision and who's willing to fight for your vision. I see artists all the time who are frustrated with management or whatever, but I think if we were both honest, I'm like, well, maybe your vision's not clear, or maybe you're not communicating what you want enough, because you get the right manager. It's awesome. But anyway, I'm now with Atlantic Records, and that's fairly new, actually. I love that label. What's interesting is coming from a Christian label now to a mainstream label. There were some reserves that I had. I just didn't want one, I didn't want my fan base to think, oh no, he's turned his back on us, you know, whatever. But two, I also didn't want from the label.
Somebody's got a good question.
Yeah. What up, Joe? I was married after. As a follow-up, how does he deal with groupies and women on social media? My wife has my login information. That's how I deal with it.
Awesome.
Love that. Same here with us.
That's how we are.
We do that too.
Boundaries, brother. Honestly, you
and I'm glad you said that, because I'm glad he asked that, because I think that's an important thing when you're trying to live the God-inspired life. And other people, they see you rising out there, and they don't understand how. I really love that question and that answer.
Yeah. I think whether you're married or not, if you're an artist on the road, you should have boundaries.
Absolutely.
But especially when you're married, because that's a commitment to your spouse, right? You're committed to only give yourself to her and to only love her and only give your attention to her. It starts small. So Yeah, and the world's nuts. They'll throw all kinds of stuff in your face. So accountability is very good. But anyway, so yeah. Yeah.
So speaking of teams, we've got a third co-host that we always
we
bring
do.
our 9-year-old.
Yes,
We
his name's Christopher.
ask a couple questions each
I'll
guest. So
go
she's
get
gonna go
him.
get him. And we've got a 2-year-old little daughter that when she gets older, she'll be plugged into the show too, because we are a family affair.
That's awesome. I love that.
And I'm sure you're looking forward to the day to where you're at the height enough where you can bring the whole family with you. Won't that be awesome?
Oh man, I cannot wait to
Because
bring
and that's
my
the
wife and
dilemma
little
about
girls
what
on
you
stage.
do. Because that's the dilemma about what you do is you make this much here, and this much is what it takes. If you're in between there, you just can't do what the top artists do. But when you get there, now all of a sudden you've got the more flexibility. But then getting there is so hard.
Yeah, it's true. What's up, Christopher? How you doing, bro?
Doing good. Hi, Colton. So, what's your favorite food?
Favorite food? I like steak, but I'll have to go with pizza.
Because what's yours?
Pizza.
Yeah, man. That's right. What kind of pizza?
Yeah. Okay. So, mine is pepperoni and sausage, and I tried a supreme pizza.
Yeah, he tried Supreme the other day for the first time. He liked that too.
Nice. Yep. I like pepperoni and sausage too. It's probably my favorite.
All right, next.
All right. What's your favorite TV show?
Ooh, favorite TV show. I'm thinking. I just watched WandaVision on Disney, and it was very, very good. I was pleasantly surprised. I don't know if it'd be my favorite, but that's probably my current favorite.
And what's yours?
Really enjoyed
Mine is SpongeBob.
SpongeBob. Oh yes, I grew up watching SpongeBob as well.
And you know what's been cool with this show is he watches a lot of Nickelodeon shows, and we've been able to bring a lot of actors from Nickelodeon onto our show, so he's been able to communicate with them. So that's been pretty cool to watch.
Oh, that's so cool, man. That's awesome.
Sandy and I are kind of joke he don't realize how special that is, because again, to him it's just normal.
Sure. Yeah. No, that's a big deal, bud. I wish I could have talked to some of my favorites.
Exactly. Cool. I'm sitting there like, I wish this could have happened when I was young.
Yeah, for real. That's awesome.
Bye, thanks.
Hey, you're so welcome. Nice to meet you, Christopher.
Nice to meet you too.
Yeah, he's been on.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, he loves the Despicable Me, and what's funny is our 2-year-old. Every time she sees it's funny. She's in this phase to where she watches with him the Despicable Me, and when they turn, it's only a small part where they turn in those purple things.
Was that the?
And they go
the purple minion,
and they make that noise. Well, now when she sees a minion, she makes that sound.
Yeah, she'll point at them, laugh.
So we'll be in Walmart and she'll point and make that sound and laugh.
That's awesome.
It's so cute.
Kids are adorable. My girls are like just about to crawl. So they're making noises and
that's a fun
it's
phase.
Amazing. It's so fun.
Yes. So if you could describe your music to someone who's never heard it before, how would you describe it?
Oh, that is the hardest question ever. Could go two ways, like musically or like what? Lyrically, I guess.
You can answer both.
So musically, like I said, I grew up listening to Christian music, so that's definitely a huge influence. But I also love bands like 30 Seconds to Mars, and I love pop stuff, and I actually really like dark pop. I love that stuff, like Rihanna or Billie Eilish, or I think musically it's really cool and it's unique, and so some of that stuff influences as well. But lyrically, I like to give people hope. My whole mission is I want to leave people better than they were before they listened to a song. So after you listen to one of my songs, I want you to feel better about whatever it is that's been bothering you. And obviously God is the huge counterpart to that, right?
Yes,
But
absolutely.
I just try to write songs that are real, that talk about real things. They might come from a personal situation, or maybe a friend of mine's or a fan's, whatever. Or maybe it's just the truth, something that I know to be true, but I want to, I just want to turn the lights on for people and say, hey, it is going to be okay. Just one foot in front of the other, and we'll get through it. And yeah, there's such a satisfaction in seeing that happen. Again, those stories after shows, it's just like, wow, that is so cool.
Awesome. What would you like your legacy to be as an artist? What would you ultimately like to be known for?
A lover of people.
Oh, that's great.
Like, again, it boils down to relationships. When I'm dead and gone, and they're throwing a funeral or whatever they decide to do, yeah, I don't necessarily want to be known for having the most number ones, or whatever you want to call that. I want people to say, man, he loved people. He sincerely loved people, and was intentional with his time towards people. And that is that's a decision everyone has to make. It can't be made for you. So there are days where I'm good at it. There are days where I'm not good at it. I'm trying to let the good days outweigh the bad. But yeah, I think that's most important to me.
I love that. So what's next for you?
Yeah, well, we're still figuring that out with COVID and touring. The gears are just starting to get unstuck in the touring world, which I'm so excited about. Like I said, I did shows this weekend, and it was so refreshing as an artist to see people come to a show, because you don't know. It was a big unknown, but people were there and they were loving it, so it's awesome. But with a family now, my wife and I are going to figure out what this next season looks like for us. I probably won't tour as much as I have in the past. We'll have to be more intentional with what we do and what we don't do. But I feel like we're on the brink of something unique and exciting. Just even just in the music business world, and with my team, I feel like we're on the brink of something, and I haven't fully figured out what that is yet.
And you know, I think too, that we're going to see a blend of where we've been and where we're going.
Yes.
And what I mean by that is, you know, a lot of people, they're doing these online concerts where people pay $5-10 and they get to watch online.
Yep.
I think that we're going to see, as we start coming back to regular concerts, you're going to have yourself set up where you do the live concert, you got the live people, but you're going to also set up your feeds for now the world to watch. So now all of a sudden you can have the best of both worlds, because now we learn how to hone this new skill in. So now you can take that new skill and add it with the face-to-face component, and now you've got a show like never before.
It's so true. You're right. On this weekend, I went from having a band to doing it just me solo. So it's kind of like an Ed Sheeran thing, but there are a few more gadgets around me. So it's a lot of fun, kind of building a track from scratch. But for one of my songs, I did a virtual band. So I invited some artist friends of mine. For example, Toby Mac was singing in the choir with me, and Jen Ledger of Skillet was actually playing drums. So I threw them up on the screen, which people are used to, right? Which that virtual thing, but we were live. So I debuted one of my songs that way to the crowd this weekend, and people were loving it. It's something that's new, but it's also something that's familiar.
We're in a new world.
Yeah, we are. So yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I think a lot of artists are going to be trying to figure out ways to blend. So
great. So as we come to a close here, what's one piece of advice you'd give that next artist that's trying to make it, who feels like they're called to do this?
Yeah. Man, I could go in so many directions here. No one will ever be as invested as you are. So just keep that in your mind. But it's so important to have a team who will come alongside of you, because you cannot do it on your own. I've tried. I wind up getting stressed out and miserable and not getting everything done. you have to have a team that you can delegate things to. But honestly, it kind of boils down to being a good leader. Whenever you're an artist, whether you consider yourself a leader or not, you are. So you might as well be a good one. So learn the skills, read the books you need to. Craig Groeschel is great. John Maxwell is great on leadership. Yeah, that's super important. But also, just from my own experience, money fades away, fame fades away. It's all temporary. The only thing that lasts are relationships. So really be intentional with your time and your relationships, and treat others better than you would want them to treat you, and you will be A-okay.
Love that. So as we come to a close here, tell everybody how they can reach out to you.
Yes.
Yeah. ColtonDixon.com. Very original, I know. That will point you toward everything. My Instagram's Colton Dixon Music, but all those links are on ColtonDixon.com. We just dropped a new song on Friday, so we should check that out. But yeah, a lot of things are coming this year, so stay tuned.
Love that. Yeah, we really enjoyed having you on our show today, and we look forward to having you back down the road.
Man, thank you so much, Chris and Sandy. Appreciate you guys.
That's all. You have a great day.
All right. See you guys.